Okay.
Are you ready to start?
Yes.
So in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. First of all, I'd like to talk about work and study. Do you work or are you a student?
I'm a student. Currently, I'm studying in a university which is called Communication of Zhejiang University. And I'm major in bilingual broadcasting for Chinese and English. I still remember when I was high tier grad super, I wanted to be a public announcer, things like that. So I think I like this major very much.
Now I'd like to talk to you about the topic of weekends. What do you usually do on weekends?
Well, normally I tend to hang out with some of my intimate friends and confidants. And also, after I am totally snowed under, I wanted to let off steam. I tend to ask them out just to, relax.
Did you do anything special last weekend?
Well, I have to think about that. Yeah, actually, last weekend on Sunday, I hang out with my cousin, Graciela. We went to our junior school. We used to be in a junior school together, and we lived here for a while. And we just hang out there and took some pictures of ourselves. And then I found the scenery there was very Instagrammable. And then I posted them on my social media as well. I went home at about 9 p.m. and I got a headache. Yeah, kind of like that. I couldn't remember it very clearly because, it's been a week.
What are you doing next weekend?
This is a very interesting question. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to take my IELTS examination. But I guess after I finish my IELTS examination, I'm going to, communicate with some of my best friends because it's been a while. I don't really get opportunities to talk to them because I've been as busy as a bee, and I've been preparing for my IELTS examination. It has already driven me crazy and insane. Plus, I guess I will go to the seaside just to chill out. Everything was just so nerve-wracking, and I couldn't. I can't bear it anymore.
What do people in your hometown usually do on weekends?
This is a very fascinating question. From what I've seen, the majority of the people living in my hometown, Qingdao, normally hang out with each other in the seaside, as I mentioned, because, the scenery there is just very spectacular and jaw-dropping. What's more, let me think about that. Yeah, they tend to enjoy some of the delectable seafood, and they can also always be very mouth-watering for them. That's what I can think about.
Now I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you'll have some time to think about what you're going to say. You can make some notes if you wish. The topic I'd like you to talk about is to describe a creative person whose work you admire. All right, remember you have 1 to 2 minutes to talk, so don't worry if I stop you. Can you start speaking now, please?
Okay. I would like to talk about an innovative person whose name is Rob. He was my English tutor, actually. When I was about 18 years old, I encountered him when I was struggling very hard with my English study. Regarding his appearance, he has jet black hair, an oval face, upturned nose, and fleshy lips. and his personality is quite outgoing, and he can be very bubbly. But yeah, at the same time, he can be a little bit gruff and short tempered. Anyway, I put him on a pedestal because he has so many good characteristics that I really admire. First of all, I think it is his innovative actions whenever he's working really attracts me. Like he is very used to doing some meditation when he is trying to take a break. He told me about the meditation. It's just about, focusing on my breath and paying attention to my inner self, and so forth. And that was really impressive. And I was totally blown away because of, some of his words. At the same time, he tend to combine some English skills with English performance, and also he instructs us to do some voiceovers, and they can be very fascinating and intriguing. I mean, I thought English was monotonous and boring before, but after having classes with him, I was totally hooked by English, and not only English, but also English grammar, syntax. And he, if I hadn't really met him, I wouldn't have known that the importance and the funny part of English. So this is my story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to talk with you a little bit more generally about the topic of people being creative and imaginative. Do you think that people in your country are generally creative?
Well, from what I've seen, I don't think so, because, it's Chinese. It's China. Come on. We have college entrance examination. As we all know, it is famous for its cramming, and you have to recite a lot of stuff before you go to really sit the gaokao, that examination. So it's very excruciating for people, and for one, it's because the majority of the students here in China, they have to recite a lot of materials instead of using their critical thinking or problem-solving thinking skills like that. So they don't really have a lot of opportunities to use their brain. Most of the time, they will just focus on reciting things and memorizing things. For another, I think it's basically because teachers, they don't really pay attention to this field. Most of them, they think as long as students can get higher scores and they can behave excellently and academically, as long as students can do that, that would suffice. So we don't really have a lot of space to use our creativity or innovation.
Does that change when people enter the workforce?
Well, I have to confess, there are some alterations when people enter the workforce. From my perspectives, people tend to work in some very big international companies and businesses in order to gain an insight into different cultures and, get to know people from all around the world. And that's a very good thing. And for another, I guess people really get the chance to develop some other soft skills like critical thinking, creative thinking, conflict resolutions, things like that. And they can really form their own unique ideas whenever they encounter obstacles, whenever life throws them a curveball. I mean, yeah, definitely it has changed a lot.
Thank you very much. That is the end of the speaking. So let's take a look. So really good. Yeah, you can definitely get at least band 7. So like 7 is probably like the lowest score that you would get. So there's 4 things that you get marked on in your IELTS: your fluency, vocab, grammar, and pronunciation. All of yours are like at minimum band 7, and some of them are closer to band 8. So like for sure, your fluency can probably get an 8. There's like a few times when you use some slow speech to kind of think of you.
Yeah, hesitation.
Yeah, and some hesitations. But, native speakers do that as well. Like when you're thinking about ideas or thinking about what you're going to say, it doesn't hurt your score. But if you're thinking about grammar or vocab, then it can hurt your score. But sometimes it's not clear which one you're thinking about all the time. So like there's a little bit of it, but I think it's not a big deal. It's not really a problem. I wouldn't focus on that or worry about that too much or try to fix that for the test next week. I think it's okay. For your vocabulary, it's really strong, probably an 8. You've got lots of like really good like natural phrasal verbs. So keep using those, as many as you can. Some of the ones you were using were really, really, like snowed under, blow off steam. Some of those are really good. There are a few of them that are a little bit like unnatural. I'll show you them later. And there's a few times when you could use some really specific vocab. Some of it wasn't like totally accurate. There's a few little mistakes with how you produced it, but it was still very strong. Grammar, you've got some like excellent complex grammar. So you've got some great complex grammar, like you're using past perfect, present perfect, continuous, and you can use it like very flexibly, like use them back to back in a story in different ways. You also forgot to use like some past simple a couple times, and there were like a few like kind of basic mistakes. So that could possibly drop down to like a 7 because of that. Because the basic stuff with past simple complexity is good enough for an 8. Pronunciation is definitely good enough for a 7 or an 8. Like all words are clear. You've got some good intonation and linking. You could have like a little bit more natural chunking. So that means how like words come together. So like for example, in English, we wouldn't say like most of the time. We wouldn't say that that's different words. We say most of the time. So like most of the time. And
most of the time. Yeah, most of the
time. We wouldn't say let me think.
Schwa sound.
Like, let me think. So like that's called chunking. It could be like a little bit more natural if you wanted to make sure it gets up to an 8. But I think the most likely score is probably like a 7.5. But at minimum a 7, so it won't be below a 7.
Okay, pretty surprising. But yeah, I've heard that you've been working in China, like as an IELTS examiner. So were you trying to lower my score, like using from the perspective of a Chinese examiner, things like that?
Lower your score. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I've heard some people talking about this. Like if examiner work in China, they don't really want to give you a very high score because, yeah, it's in China. Have you ever heard of this or not?
No, I think actually every country says the same thing, right? Like every country says like, oh, students here get lower scores, or I think it's just, obviously it's not true. It doesn't make sense. There's no reason why they would do that. So yeah, no, it's nonsense. Right? Like there's no like big conspiracy against any countries. Yeah, people always.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, that means I won't be too worried about that. Oh yeah.
So yeah, let's take a look now. So I'm a student. Currently, I'm studying. You don't have to give so much detail in this first question. Yeah, in the university, which is called. You could call it maybe like the University of Communications in ...
University.
I major in bilingual broadcasting. So like this type of specific vocab is excellent. Anytime you can use something that's really specific like that, that is excellent. Bilingual broadcasting. Yeah, this is a good phrase. I still remember when I was. It's good. But yeah, it's maybe like a little bit too much. Sometimes you do it in part 3 as well. Maybe your answers go on a little bit too long. It's not a big deal. It doesn't really hurt your score, but you might want to keep them a little bit short.
I thought you would stop me.
Yeah, so the examiner might have to interrupt you a little bit because of that sometimes. One thing you can do in part one is like if you have an opportunity to give a longer answer, give a long answer. But then other times when you don't have as much to say, you can give a shorter one. So it's not like they always need to be the same length of time. That's one way.
Okay, I see.
I like this. That's okay. So like you can say like, pretty choice I made.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the choice.
I don't regret it. Well, normally I tend to hang out with some of my, I tend to's are kind of like a little bit funny. I mean, you could just say like I hang out with. Tend to's okay. Yeah, hang out with.
Tend to is a little bit like reading.
It's like a little bit overused by Chinese students for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's like a Chinese English translation thing. So normally,
I see.
Hang out with.
Normally, I'd hang out like kind of like that. I would hang out with some of my.
Yeah. So if you can use would, actually, what you usually do, then it's like would be better actually for future. I'll hang out with. Hang out with somebody. Intimate friends is okay, but it's like a little bit formal. You can say closest friends, and again, confidant is like a little bit formal. Yeah. Just friends. Yeah. So like. It just makes it sound like you're snowed under every week, but snowed under is like really extreme. Like it happens sometimes. So like it's like if I've been under that week, work, study, because it's not. You wouldn't be snowed under every week. You'd be snowed under some. Yeah. But snowed under is an excellent phrasal verb. Yeah. Blow up some steam. That one's okay. That one's good as well. Ask them out to relax, catch up.
Catch up, yeah.
So just, kind of keep filling it with those phrasal verbs that you're using. Those are very, very natural. So keep using those. Well, like think about that. Or you can just say like, let me think. Sorry.
Let me think about that.
Actually, last weekend on Sunday, I hung out, passing by. I hung out with my cousin.
Yeah. This is a grammatical mistake.
If you want to say like we headed back, that's also like a good way to say we went back. Basically, we headed back to our junior school. Does that mean like your middle school, your elementary, your high school, or primary school?
Middle school, I guess. Yeah, middle school.
Yeah, so you can say like middle school or primary,
senior high,
secondary school. Yeah, middle school. We used to be in junior school together, middle school together. We just hung out there and took in the past, right? Took some pictures of ourselves. Instagrammable is great. Yeah, really specific vocab. Posted that on my social media. Yeah, went home. Or again, you can say like headed home, just like a more natural.
Headed home, yeah.
Yeah, got up with a headache, or like started to feel a headache. Coming on means like starting up. So again, that's a crazy verb. I couldn't remember. Yeah, or you can't remember it now. I can't remember it that clearly because it's been a week now. Yeah, this is great grammar. It's been a week. Really good. You don't have to say like this is very interesting. You don't have to like do that. I mean, but that one's okay. But because that one was honest with you, I'm gonna take my IELTS exam after I finish IELTS. Or with the exam, I'm gonna, you can say maybe like a ring up or a message. My friends. Busy as a bee is that's one of like more unnatural ones. Like you can say I've been really under it with work, or I've been distracted with work lately, so I haven't had much time to stay in touch.
These are really good. I'm going to take them down.
I've been preparing for my IELTS examination. I guess I'll just go to CSAT. Yeah, again, you can say like head over, all the head over, head out, head to, all those ones are good. Make them more.
Head over.
Just chill out. Yeah. Taking the ocean views. Take in is a really good phrasal verb. Like it means kind of like
take in.
Can't bear it anymore. Yep, it's okay. The majority of the people, and again, with of, you can always make that more natural by making it the majority. The majority of people living in my hometown.
Majority of
each other by the seaside. Yeah, hang out, or you can say like meet up with. If you want to vary the phrasal verbs you're using. Yeah. There's spectacular. Jaw drop. We use these as adjectives before you say scenery.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, enjoy the delectable. Yeah, mouth-watering seafood. Those ones are like a little bit, like just slightly, but they're good words, so it's not bad. But they're a little bit unnatural, but it's okay.
Unnatural.
So you can say something more like, we're well known for seafood, and just use more specific vocabulary, like there's
shrimps.
There's, even if there's a specific, like it's a really nice clam dish with capers and spring onions, oil that is popular.
Yeah.
Beach weekends, something like that. Even more specific. Those ones are okay, but it's a little bit more, a little bit unnatural.
Okay.
Try to use contractions whenever you can. I'd like to talk about, and it's instead of to, you can always make it to. I'd like to talk about innovative person. Get rid of the stress. Innovative. Stress on the innovative.
Innovative. Yeah.
Whose name you can say is. It's a little bit. Sometimes you can mix past and present because it's like both. He was my English tutor when I was about 18. I was struggling with my studies at the time. Feeling you can say like maybe like feeling demotivated about English.
Yeah.
But really good grammar. I was struggling. It's really good. Even just something simple like past continuous is really useful. Yeah, really good specific vocabulary. His personality, I think that one you could say was, or if you want to say is, say he is an outgoing person because it's like he still is down. Lovely is really good. Yeah, I put him on a pedestal at the time. Put on a pedestal is almost like a negative thing. Like to say I put him on it, but it's not necessarily negative. But maybe looking back at it, I definitely put him on a pedestal. But it's almost like a negative thing. It's almost like usually when you say that, it's like they didn't deserve it in some way. But not necessarily. It could be a little bit like you really looked up to him. Yeah, short term.
Look up to him.
Yeah. You could get short with people.
Yeah, get short with people. Wow, these are good.
Yeah, characteristics that I really admire and strive to imitate. Yeah, his like creative. I could say maybe just like his creativity or like his thinking outside the box.
Outside the box.
Whenever he was working or teaching.
Yeah.
He used to do meditation when he was trying to take a break. Focusing on my breath. Yeah, that's really good. Paying attention to inner self. Inner self's a little bit strange, like paying attention to thought processes. Moment way by someone who's maybe like his advice or his teaching. At the same time, he often combined English skills.
Yeah, this is a little bit awkward.
Hooked on, you can say like hooked on his style. Yeah, just like more engaging.
Yeah, engaging.
Student-centered. Yeah, syntax is really good vocabulary. Any of that really specific vocab helps a lot. If I hadn't really met him, I wouldn't have known. That's excellent. That's like excellent to use third conditional like that. I've done the importance and funny parts English. Yeah, or how fun it can be to learn English. So, story. Yeah, don't worry. The examiner will stop you. I let you talk probably a little bit longer than 2 minutes, but the examiner will stop you and they'll ask you like a little like follow-up question. There'll be something like, do you talk with him often or something like that? Some kind of just like a follow-up question. You can just give a short answer. I didn't ask it, but usually they'll give you like a follow-up question. Just give a short answer, and then they'll start part 3. Yeah, I have to run to the next student, but your part 3 is really good. I think just keep it like a little bit shorter with some of your answers, but keep using the really specific vocabulary that you were doing here. Develop soft skills. Throw them a curveball. Throw them a curveball. Throws. Yeah, that's really good as well. From my perspective, people maybe like have to. There's some. Yeah, maybe just changes there. You can say like the notorious, the really famous. Yeah, recite. Maybe also like learn things by heart.
Yeah, learn things by heart.
Appreciating, maybe more like daunting. It's like
Daunting, yeah.
More scary. Yeah, to memorize a lot. Critical thinking.
Memorizing that a lot. Yeah.
Reciting things, memorizing. Yeah. This area, or you can say like they kind of neglect this area. Yeah. Yeah. Perform well. That suffices. And so use present simple, not if would.
Yeah, that suffices. Yeah.
Most of the time, same thing. They just focus on reciting. Use present simple because it's like a fact now, a thing happening now. So there are a couple of little basic grammar mistakes that could bring that score down, but otherwise, everything's kind of like at minimum band 7 or probably band 8.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me about any of that?
No, I really appreciate that. Do you think that if I slow down a little bit, that will bring my grammar up, or do you
Not
think
really. I don't know. I think when you speak quickly, you get in all that vocab. You're not speaking too quickly or anything, so I would keep that speed the same. I would say maybe just practice, especially with past simple. Just focus on that one area, and maybe the present simple as well. So maybe just record yourself giving a few answers in the past, and just talk totally normal, but then listen back to it, and then check your past simple, and then record the answer again, but not exactly the same. Not like you're trying to recite it perfectly, maybe just like a similar one, but just try to be a little bit more accurate with your past simple. And then when you're doing part 2, if the topic is in the past, and usually they are, just like write down a couple of your past simple verbs and underline them, because it's just like jogging your memory to remember to use them. You can mutter them to yourself or underline them, just to kind of jog your memory. We took pictures, we went, just write them, went, took, and underline. I think that'll be enough for you.
Yeah,